And oh, it's not doing so good, is it? See what it's doing? It's catching in between. Can you see that? So it's catching in between.
Does it matter which direction you traverse the tool?
No, it's going to make your hash the other direction. So you can roll this over.
No, I mean, when you're cutting, which way you move the tool?
No, it really doesn't. It does like to move more in the
Downhill?
backward pattern, which is really uphill. But it will run either direction. But that is not going to be good for us. So we're going to try again, because that's what we do with this tool. And that's why we have a thick piece of wood. And that's why we didn't cut the back of the bowl already, right? So, okay, but now my tool rest is crazy low. It make me nuts. And always shut off the lathe before you adjust the tool rest, correct? Okay, as long as we all know that. Okay, so now we get take two. See how easy that is? But I got to lower my tool, move it out, lower it down, a little too low, and bring my speed back down.
When you're holding the tool up there against the wood, is the points like up in the air straight, or is it?
So there, each point is at this angle.
Okay.
Okay, and that determines how the hash is going to be. Hash, is that the right word? Okay, so now I've got a pretty good start right there. So now the trick is to fall back into those, and having these rounded points gives me a fighting chance of falling back in there. If I had that other cutter with the square points, it digs in wherever it touches and messes up everything, right? And I could have put a pencil mark on there to see where I was. But okay, so I'm going to gently come in now. And I felt it fall in. Okay, so that's pretty decent right there. We'll go just a little deeper. Okay, did you notice me move back just a little bit with my hand? Yeah, if you get too close to that, it lets you know. And even though it is a bearing, it does generate a fair amount of heat. Which is what I was really feeling before I got into those teeth. Okay, so now I've got my, my spiral pattern there, and now we're going to make it into a rope. Except I didn't move my tool rest, but you guys aren't heckling me enough. You're not making me think. It's pretty sad. Okay, so just to keep myself honest here, this is basically the center of my rope, okay? And of course it's easier to mark the outside edges here. Not that you'd want to make it that entire width. If you want it to look like a rope, you've got to have it narrow enough that you can roll that bead over the top of it, right? But at least now I can see what's going on. So I'm going to come out here, and I could use my bowl gouge. If I'd trued up my backside, it wouldn't wobble so much. So what the heck, we're here, right? We can. I told you I wasn't going to turn on the backside, and now I'm going to do it. So I should have trued up when we had it off before, when it was on the worm screw. But just because it's making me a little crazy there wobbling, we'll bring the speed up, it won't be as bad. But I can come over here. Did you get that on camera?
A little bit.
So now it's not going to wobble, it's not going to bounce. So that's fine. Amazing how little material it really takes to get you out of balance like that. And the resonance, you know, if I would have just fussed with the speed control, I could have got to a happy point, but why? Okay.
Now, will you do the speaker view on that big screen over here?
Now my cuts are only so deep, right? So I can't get too crazy here. It's an illusion. It's not actually a rope shape. And we all know why we take these out, right? Because we like our elbows.
You got to put your DNA on it.
The DNA goes into the work. That's what makes it more expensive. Come on. So right now, I'm really just looking to be about the same depth on the inside and outside, right? And that's the center. And I can go ahead, if I can see that center mark, I can go ahead and I can roll this one direction. Right, and then come back to the center mark and roll the other direction. And take a look and see how I did. Okay, so it's still a little wide, but depth-wise, I might have gone just a hair too far, but that's all right. It doesn't look bad at all. I gotta get rid of that center mark now. That pencil mark. So I just want to barely skim it off. Make it just a little more narrow.
How deep did you go with the border fields?
Well, that's what I'm playing with now, until it's right. Okay, so
Of course,
I'm gonna call that, I don't think that's quite an 8. I fell into one of the grooves, so that won't give me an accurate reading now, will it? So this is a left-handed monkey exercise. So, yeah, it's just a hair under an 8.
Well, how's that relate to the depth of your grooves, your spiral?
Well, I want it to be about the same as the depth of the spiral. I left just, the spiral is going just a hair deeper, but it's all in how you roll it and, you know, what effect do you want to see when you're finished. And so I've got some cleanup work here to do. Okay. Pretty decent. So if I want that to be centered, now I need to measure where do we end up. We end up just a hair over a ½ inch, and then come a ½ inch on this side, and that's kind of if I want to center that up. Now it's optical illusion, so I can get by with a little bit less on the inside if I want to keep that bowl shape where it is, right? So I'm going to back off to a ½ there, and I can come here and make a mark, and I think that's going to give me a real nice rim. I put a magnet on there, and now it makes me crazy because every time I lay it down, it wants to stick. So that's where I'm going to say that's my rim. And then I have to come back, of course, here and get everything the same, only different on this side. And I'm really going to end up going past that. So I can always cut from the inside out as easily as I can cut from the outside in, right? It doesn't matter if I go past that mark. I can make it on there again. I just kind of want an idea of where's my rim. So you can see where I keep bruising the wood because this soft maple is just too soft. It's so soft. If you went and tried this at home with a piece of that cherry, you wouldn't fight it nearly as hard.
I burned the heck out of cherry. Am I riding my butt? I burned the heck out of cherry. Am I riding the backside too hard?
Pushing too hard. If you start bouncing in and out on those rings, if you get any spiral pattern at all, then you know you're pushing way too hard.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so now I'm going to look and see, am I flat on both sides? I can't tell that if I'm on the center point. And yeah, I'm pretty equidistant, I'm pretty flat. I'm pretty happy. Except, it is soft cherry. So I got some tear out. But just in some of the rings. Right? Those on the end grain, like we talked about before. What do I do about that? Well, when you get this tool, they tell you to get one of these shoe brushes, right? And to clean it with the shoe brushes, which is a great idea, and it works again. If it were very hard wood and all I had were those little spirals, it would clean it up pretty quick. Not stiff enough. So the other night I said, oh God, what am I going to do? So I went to my friendly CVS and bought a toothbrush, okay? But I wanted a hard toothbrush. They don't sell hard toothbrushes anymore. So I took the medium toothbrush and then I cut the bristles off halfway down. So that got me stiff. So now I can come in here and I can clean these out. And I thought I was a genius until I walked into Menards the next day, because Menards people, they know when I'm coming. They put the good stuff out. So I found this little jewel, right? Little abrasive brush. This one I bought, it was $2.20. They had it in $1.20. They didn't have anything finer. And then I line up that with the angle, so I can do it anywhere as long as I'm lining up with the angle of that groove. I probably want to slow down for this. And guess what? I took care of most of that end grain just that quick. Okay?
Those brushes are used a lot in carving.
Yes, yes. Everybody's seen these before? We could actually take it out of there, but that would take all the fun out of it.
We use those in doing carvings and that to clean up down inside small areas. And they do have them, I think they've got them higher grit than that. Maybe Menards don't, but they have them.
Probably not. Okay, so I'm pretty happy. You guys pretty happy with that? All right, let's move on. So now let's make the rest of the bowl. Now I told you I was going to reverse chuck twice, didn't I? So I'm going to reverse chuck because I always want to do the back of my bowl first. Okay, that's a little shallow for a tenon, but it'll work. Okay, I'm starting pretty open there, right? If I start too open, it's going to grab and skate across. I got to start closed, hit my line, get a 1/16 of an inch for my bevel to ride, then I can open up and cut more efficiently. And that is not a dovetail. It was 11. It was 11, and I think I overshot. Now I think I'm at 16. And what I don't like is this edge right back here at the back is curled a little bit. And that's the most important part, because that's really getting a lot of the force. I'm ready to come back and redo it anyway. And I did it again, didn't I? I started a little open. I'm brave tonight.
Worst that could happen is Bruce would have to catch it.
And I got to close up again at the very bottom, right? So I started closed, I opened a little bit, and then I closed up again at the very bottom to get in the corner. Okay, and my corner is pretty much flat. Nice, crisp. Should grip that just the way Kenny planned it.
You did it right.
I was following directions, man.
We'll see.
Oh, tough audience. Whew. I made it too big, didn't I, Kenny? This is a whole new experience. This is exciting. Kenny. It's pretty close. I was counting on you, buddy.
Well, you gotta man it up right, you know.
Yeah, I know. Remind me next time we do something like this to use something a little harder than soft maple, would y'all?
Does your cutter work with hard maple?
It would work fine with hard maple.
Would it?
Yeah, the demonstration take a little longer, but it would work fine. All right, nobody look at the rim. It's not going to be quite the perfect thickness, but only look at one side at a time. It'll be perfect. Okay? So,
Don't forget to mark your number 1.
that's a good idea. I don't think we'll be using it again there, but what the hell, we're here, right?
You never know.
Well, Kenny's instructions, I might be there. You never know.
I talk you into it.
Oh, yeah, you guys are killing me. Okay. Okay, so now I'm just removing bulk. And matter of fact, if I want to remove bulk faster, I can jump up a tool size, but then I'm going to come back down for my final cuts. This far, yeah, 3 yards. So ready to cut. It's too far over, so it's full. Yeah, not yet anyway, so I can get this here, just pretty much that. And then this end, get out there, and I call it sit down. And drop this here. And then like this, just about a smidge. Together, right here, on the edge. Very light cuts. Okay, and then we need to roll this over. Yeah, we're gonna take this back there. Make sure we keep it proportionate. Okay. And I'm even going to come in here. And establish a foot. And clean that up. You always kind of have to think about it. You want it to, when it's sitting on the table, first of all, you don't want to see the foot. And then secondly, you want to see that lift of the piece. You want it to look like it's floating. Now I'm just trying to take that first part of the Roman ogee there, and you know what, we're going crazy here, and let's make our foot even smaller. So just trying to roll into that same shape and blend them together. So it's one continuous flow. I'm going to come back here and butt up against that foot. And then that foot is a little off, so we'll shorten it up and flatten it out at the same time. Okay. So now my curve's almost there. Just gotta touch it here. Sometimes you gotta stick your tongue out just right to really get it. Okay, I got just a little bit of an issue right there. This is air-dried wood, so it is moving just a little bit. But I think that's pretty decent. Is that okay, Kenny?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Now I can relieve a little bit of this inside foot stuff here now before we reverse it later. And a little tiny spindle gouge to get you in places where your tool doesn't necessarily want to be. Notice I'm keeping the tool banjo pretty much perpendicular at all times if I can. I'd rather twist the tool rest itself and leave the banjo perpendicular. It's far more stable that way. Okay, so that's one of the harder places to get, and now it's already done. Okay, reverse chuck again. First thing I'm going to do, establish my depth of my hole. Because I don't want to cut through the bottom, right? And I'm really good at that. And you'd think I'd done one of these just the other day just like it, because there's a mark almost in the right place. Matter of fact, if I look down at that tin in there, it is. So I'm going to ease into the center. Of course, I got that wormhole in there already, so it's good to throw me off just a hair. Lift off the tool rest, push in and pry back. And lo and behold, I've drilled a hole and got that material out of the center already. And that's the hardest material to remove. Bit open, so it's skated back. Okay. And where did I say I was going to go with my rim? Said I was going to go 1/2 inch on the inside, right? One more cut. Switch over to lighter tool to take care of some of that bruising so I'm not pushing so hard and I have less cutting edge and contact. But I have to let it cut, so now I have to slow down my rate of feed. And I got my own way, didn't I? So there's always a trade-off in the smaller tool for the lighter cut versus how far over the tool rest I'm hung. So a lot of turns will use a heavier tool as they come down in there just to keep down the vibration. I've still got a lot of meat there, but I imagine I don't have nearly as much meat. I still got a lot of meat. Okay. Maybe we'll go with one more heavy cut before we do the light cut then. So that tells me I should be at the bottom from when I eyeballed it. So I got a little bit of meat there and a little bit of meat here. So come back, undercut. I usually keep a credit card file on my tailstock I can hold up here and see how flat I am. Now I came around that corner and yeah, now I'm getting thin. And I couldn't rub my bevel any longer. So there's always kind of a trade-off. When I used a harder wood, I could have made faster cuts, but I couldn't have made as deep or as much of a cut. I've got a problem right there. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to get to it easily. happy with that. And do we have time to reverse check again, or does Jeff like to get out of
We're
here?
getting close.
Yeah, we're getting.
We still need to do raffle.
Okay, well, you all have, know how to get a tenon off the back, I'm sure. Just put a waist block in there, got my center point, tailstock to the center point, work on that, right? Very good. Any questions? Kenny, thank you for the expert advice.
I saw it on YouTube last week.
Okay, okay. Very good. Well, thank you, gentlemen. I always enjoy it.
What kind of price do they get for those tools?